makes a difference as far as your learning curve, the level of talent they put around you, the level of investment they put around you, as far as putting personnel around you and getting you the help that you need to develop around you. Far as coaching, far as mentors, far as quarterback coaches and train, just everything, man. It makes a huge difference. You got to understand, a lot of these guys, you got to imagine how disheartening it is, right, to be considered the best player of the draft, and the guys that came after you have much more success than you. Now, it's not to say that those players didn't earn that success, because, like I say, I give 50-50 part of the blame, whether it's failure or success, on the player as well as the organization. And if I'm Bryce Young, right, and don't get me wrong, Bryce Young, you can make the case that he's holding the ball too long, he's missing wide open throws, he's not making the proper reads, he's not making a proper adjustment. But you can also look at his offensive line. He's not getting the protection that he needs. You look at the weaponry they got around him. Deontay Johnson was a number 2 wide receiver at best. Adam Thielen is a wide receiver number 2. He's no longer in his prime. So even at best, he's a number 2 option. But he's older. He's not way past his prime, but he's past his prime. He's not getting any level of production from the run game, but of course he's not getting production from the run game because the offensive line has been god awful. So they just announced that they're benching Bryce Young. It's very unfortunate for both, for the organization as well as Bryce Young, because they gave up a lot of significant draft capital to draft Bryce Young. And it's also unfortunate for Bryce Young because now, when things like this happen, you're automatically relegated to the backup role. So when it comes time for, let's just say hypothetically, he gets traded. We'll say not this season, but we'll say maybe after his 3rd season. He's going to be watching like C.J. Stroud and his contemporaries get these huge contracts when he's relegated to a backup role. And say hypothetically, he becomes a backup and he succeeds and he ends up flourishing. Well, he's going to miss his first big payday and have to wait around for the second payday. And he may have to do things that Lamar Jackson had to do, even though Lamar Jackson has been phenomenal from beginning to end, to where, even if you go to a different team and you have a certain level of success, they scared to pay you, so you got to play on these franchise tags. And that's how Kirk Cousins honestly was able to work the system and get over on a lot of these teams. And I ain't mad at Kirk Cousins because he worked the system beautifully. And that's what Bryce Young, unfortunately, he may have to do, right? Kirk Cousins had a similar story when him and Robert Griffin III, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they were drafted in the same draft. But Robert Griffin III, he was the 2nd overall pick behind Andrew Luck. But then they drafted Kirk Cousins in the 3rd round of that year because one of the coaches didn't believe in Robert Griffin III. They never wanted, I think it was Jay Gruden, he never wanted to draft Robert Griffin III, but the owner wanted him. Sometimes you'll have conflicts like that where the owner wants the player or the GM want the player, but the coach don't. So you gotta imagine that, yeah, the coach may try to make the best out of a bad situation, but how invested is he into seeing you succeed and seeing you thrive? Because a lot of the times, whether these coaches are good coaches or not, most often the times they're always able to land another job. Sometimes they're able to land a few jobs even after they've been wildly unsuccessful. Whereas you as the player, if you're considered a bust, if you're a high pick, you may get one more opportunity with a different team. You may get one more opportunity, but if that opportunity don't pan out, then you're for sure out the league. Whereas these coaches, they get opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to the point to where they have to just pretty much decide not to coach anymore. And it's unfortunate, man. I had a lot of high hopes for Bryce Young, but when I looked at, like, even when you look at a Caleb Williams, even though Caleb Williams isn't playing very good at all, but when you look at his situation, they at least tried to invest in him. They got him a lot of weapons, from Keenan Allen to Roma Doomsday to they already had DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. The year before, they tried to invest in offensive line help. So they're trying to, invest in Caleb Williams. And it's just, in my opinion, with the Caleb Williams situation, yeah, it's things that he can work on and improve on. But he's playing with bad coaches and coordinators. But if you get the right coaches and coordinators in there with that roster that he has and that draft capital that they have, they'll be able to continue to build around them, like the Houston Texans are still continuing to build around CJ Stroud. Whereas Bryce Young, he's just getting the short end of the stick. That defense isn't playing well. That special teams is god-awful. I can't stand these new special team rules on top of that. So you asking a man to pretty much be like Jesus Christ. You asking him to feed 1,000 with a loaf of bread. You asking a man to turn water into wine. You asking a man to calm a storm with his mere words. And I don't care who you are. Peyton Manning is my favorite player of all time. He wouldn't be able to do it. Tom Brady wouldn't be able to do it with a team like that. And it's a trend that I noticed with most of our quarterbacks, where most of them, not all of them, but most of them, they expect you to make miracles happen with next to nothing. Now, when I say most, when you look at the exception to the rule, when you look at a Jalen Hurts, where they're going above and beyond to put weapons around him. When you look at guys like Patrick Mahomes, he has a great coach, but they go out their way to put weapons around him. Last year was the first time that Patrick Mahomes had to do it without a phenomenal cast. Now, he don't got a team of scrubs like Bryce Young, but, that's what happens. But listen, let me know what you guys think.